fellow creatives, I'm back. Man, it's been a while since I did one of these, huh? I'm really sorry about that. It looks like I might have had a few more subscribers. Thanks for finding me, even though I've been completely inactive. I'm really sorry about that. I'm hopefully gonna start getting back to making more YouTube videos, tutorials, and kind of little voiceovers like this where I'm painting something and you kind of follow along and I describe it and maybe talk about an art subject of some kind. Once I get a list going, I'll actually have something more specific to talk about. But I hope for this one, it's okay if I just kind of randomly talk about whatever comes to mind, just so I can kind of get back into the swing of things. And so for now, I am pretty much just recording this as I watch the video, so I can sort of describe to you what I'm doing perhaps. Obviously, I'm already kind of halfway through this little painting. I did the rest basically in the dark downstairs, but it's already nearly 8 minutes long. I figured it's plenty long enough, and if I speed it up too much, it's just impossible to follow. So quickly, I'm using watercolor paper. It's the Arches cold press watercolor paper. I cut it down to 5 by 7 inches, and then I just used artist tape to tape off 1/2 inch all the way around the edge. That way when I pull the tape off, it makes a nice clean line, and I've got a 4 by 6 painting on a 5 by 7 piece of paper, and that works out pretty well. This is part of the Smaugust series, so every day during the month of August I paint a little dragon, and yes, I am selling the originals, and I will be putting these all into a book once I'm finished. This one is number 18, because I'm behind, so today's the 25th. I'm partially behind, well, mostly because I went to Gen Con, and it was an amazing experience, and I met so many artists, and everyone was fantastic and so fun, and it was an amazing time. And I might have met a few people there who could have found my YouTube, so if you are one of them, hi! Okay, back to the painting. So first I'm using a mix of Daniel Smith watercolors and M. Graham watercolors, which are professional grade watercolors. I love them, and they have some of the best pigments that I've ever seen, and they're just so easy to blend, and I'm pretty much in love with these. I used to do acrylic, so these have been really fun to play with. For this little guy, I just sketched it out using a regular H artist pencil, and then I just painted over the sketch. The gold that you see me pull out is going to be, I think they're Finetec is how it's pronounced, although for a little while I was calling them Finetec. Don't make fun of me. So that's what happens when you just see stuff before you hear it. You just kind of make up your own way of saying it, but you know, well, never mind about that. So for this one, I'm using the gold to kind of just give little outlines to the scales and a bit of shimmer to kind of give it a little edge, because it's fun, and who doesn't like adding shiny things to artwork? Pretty much the whole thing is built up on layers of watercolor, so generally I always start really light and then I gradually work darker. And I try my best to incorporate different colors, so in the scales, for example, I started with green, and I started mixing in yellows, and then I mixed in purples and then blues for the shadows. And that way it kind of gives it a little more depth and makes it a little bit more interesting. One thing that's really nice about doing these small watercolors is that, you know, technically it is a full illustration because it is completely colored with all the detail and everything, but it's not so huge that it becomes really daunting of a task to complete. They still do take a few hours each, but it's not like I'm spending several days on each one, which is also impossible if I planned on doing one of these every single day. So Smaugust is a challenge that basically anybody can take part in. Last year when I did it, I only did sketches that were not colored, just graphite pencil, white colored pencil, and black colored pencil. And those were just fine. I think I did them in a little toned tan sketchbook, and I just took it with me wherever I went. I know that some people think that doing a challenge like this, a 30-day challenge, is just impossible to do, but I can promise you it is very doable. The important part is to just make sure that you're doing something within your limits. So if you can't do a full painting every single day, which a lot of people can't, I do this full time, so of course I am able to commit to this. But if you're like me, for 3-4 years ago and you have a full-time job, something like this is really difficult to do. So to you guys who say that you don't have enough time, it's all good. Just make it a little smaller. I suggest taking a sketchbook, draw out a bunch of 2x2 inch squares, and then label those each day. And so each day all you have to do is even just sketch something inside each one of those squares, and that totally counts. Like 100% totally counts as drawing something every day. So you can do the Smaugust challenge, which is all dragons. I believe in May there's one called Mermaid, so you can do that one. And then everyone knows Inktober is in October, so if you missed this one, you could plan for that one and do the same thing. 2x2 inch squares, pen, done. There you go, every single day. You could totally do it. I believe in you. Try it. You will be amazed at how much you can grow as an artist and get better just from doing something small every single day. I hope this wasn't too boring for you guys, because I'm all over the place. Like I said, I'll get better next time. If there is any topics you want me to talk about specifically, that would greatly help me out to keep focused, and then I can come up with something ahead of time to make it a little bit more interesting to listen to. But thanks for hanging in there, those of you who have. I am using watercolor for these, and then there's the Finetec pearl paints for the gold. But for the water line, so it's an above and below water line that we have here. I'm using acrylic, Liquitex acrylic heavy body white paint. And the reason I'm using this is, even though I just left it white, there's the paper there, but as it turns out, white paint is actually more white than watercolor paper. Also, I love the texture. I love how thick it is, and it stands up off the paper, and it gives it a really like a real feeling. It gives it a real feeling. Like you can see the shadow being cast on it, and I love that. It's like the foam of the water is just like right there, and you can feel it. So that's why I use that. And that's about it for now. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening and watching and subscribing and commenting and all of that good stuff. I hope to see you around for the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.